Hi, welcome back again to MC the Accountant Shares. And for this day, I'm very excited because I wanted to discuss to you guys, share with you guys the information that I've researched about the history of accounting. Now, there are other sources of accounting, especially the books, but for this one, I tried my best to have another source, but I promise you that we will go into one source, for example, by Balyada, because Balyada also exemplified the brief history of accounting. Mind you, it's brief, but it's not really like short because it's history. There are a lot of things that happened along the way. Anyway, anyhow or way, I think that this would be part one, and then the part two would be the Book of Balyada. So it's very possible that what I say in this episode would be the same as what would be said in the other. Okay, so this is the illustration, the picture of guess what? Guess who he is? Okay, so your answer must be, ta-da-da, it should be Fra Luca Pacioli. So he is considered as the father of accounting. Like he started or paved the way for all. So probably it's because he modernized the concept of double entry system of bookkeeping. But mind you that it is possible that if you have read the history of accounting, you perhaps already met the issue or probably the information that he was not really the original one, like who originated really the double entry system of bookkeeping. So he's also inspired in a way by the predecessors. All right. So I don't know the guy in the back. I do not know who he is, but this is Fra Luca Pacioli. Fra, which means father, because he is a Franciscan monk. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he is clearly a monk. That's why. Anyhow, so I'm going to base my discussions on the Wikipedia because Wikipedia is so updated with a lot of information. So we can really trace history of accounting from the ancient civilizations, which is really true. We can even go back to the ancient Mesopotamia. So this is your modern Iraq, right? Iraq, because Iran is Persia. Okay, so we will go back in time in this one. It has closely related to developments in writing, counting, and money. Yes, because if we simply allocate our resources, which are scarce or limited, and we make reports as to how we made use of them to be used for decision making, that's already accounting, right? We have recording, classifying, summarizing, and communicating that information or those information. So also early auditing systems by the ancient Egyptians and Babylonians. So out of those reports, we are going to review, we are going to examine if those reports are really in accordance to our standards. So auditing, which is after accounting, which is basically still part of our history. It already happened prior to the modern day age. Okay, so by the time of the Roman Empire, the government had access to detailed financial information. So see, but that is already after these periods. So this is like the BCE, before Common Era, and this is already the Common Era, the Roman Empire. So going into the AD year of our Lord. So we can also access already to detailed financial information. One proof of that is, oh, perhaps you can hear the sound. That could be the lightning. Anyway, so the point is that the taxes were already imposed. Taxes would be really a good proof that accounting was already there because the taxes are lifeblood or considered as the lifeblood of our economy or nation. So how can the economy support, finance its necessary expenditures without those taxes? So that's why they're very needed in order for the government, the nation, the state to function properly. All right. On the other hand, if this is India, Chanakya wrote a manuscript similar to a financial management book. So can you imagine finance and management? This is the managing, this is the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. For those who are done with management or taking management, you know those functions about the finances, about the limited resources of the business and where are they sourced out from. If they are sourced out from our debts or from equity or shares. So that's on the financial management book, even during the period of the Mauryan Empire. So this is based in Magadha and founded by Chandragupta Maurya. So from India, one of the greatest like emperors of his time, that's Chandragupta. Anyway, his book Arthashastra, correct me if I'm wrong with the pronunciation, contains few detailed aspects of maintaining books of accounts for a sovereign state. So on a macro level, on the government level, there's already the concept of maintaining, keeping books of accounts. And then our highlight really the father of accounting and bookkeeping, who is Fra Luca Pacioli. Fra Luca Bartolomeo di Pacioli was an Italian mathematician, Franciscan friar, collaborator with Leonardo da Vinci. Oh, so the man at the back could be Leonardo da Vinci, right? Can we check this one while waiting? Okay, while waiting for that. Anyway, so he worked on the double entry bookkeeping and introduced the field in Italy. He is probably from Venice, which was a flourishing city or place at that time. So merchants are doing their business negotiations and they made use of the double entry bookkeeping system. So this is like the point wherein a concept was really used than just being or staying in the books. All right. So, oh, no information yet, but probably I think this is Leonardo da Vinci, one of the great or greatest, I would say, artists in the Renaissance era. Okay, so he is also Luca di Borgo, after his birthplace, Borgo San Sepolcro, Tuscany. Anyway, guys, the point of having this history is that we would like to know that whatever we are having right now really came from the old generations. It's not like we started it in the current times. No, no. We are just continuing to improve, to develop, to nurture, to enhance what has been handed down by the generations prior to us, and we are very thankful or grateful from them. We also need to be flexible or dynamic because we will not survive in the modern age should we not again go into the next level. Okay, so the modern profession of the chartered accountant originated in Scotland in the 19th century. In fact, I've read in sources that those people composing in the US American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the board, Financial Accounting Standards Board, actually came from UK. So they like migrated to US and started there, which boomed because AICPA is now the biggest umbrella of certified public accountants worldwide or on a global scale. And also there are early modern accounting, which are called forensic accounting. This is where we study certain cases involving actual or anticipated, meaning it happened or expected. We're just expecting disputes or litigation. There can be already legal cases about the information or about a business or about a transaction or groups of transactions. So that's why we need to be able to obtain the evidences to support our claims, whether we are the defendant, meaning we are the person subject to litigation. So we are going to defend ourselves in the process, right? Or if we are going to be the other party, which is the victim, right? Or the aggrieved party. Okay, so forensic means suitable for use in a court of law. We can act here like detectives. Okay, so also in the 19th century, this is the time that in England there are already local professional bodies emerging, just like the Institute of Chartered Accountants or Chartered Accountants rather in England and Wales in 1880. Okay, so those are the major highlights overall. And the specific ones, again, it started from Mesopotamia. There are already tradings happened. There were evidences of using items for exchange as currencies, like shells, like even, for example, this one, globular envelope known as a boolia with a cluster of accountancy tokens. So there are tokens already being used in exchange of goods. And that is one evidence that trade really happened at that particular point in time, which is a good fire start in an economy or a country. Okay, so expansion of the role of the accountant in the fourth millennium BC up to the third millennium. Now, take note that BC starts from big amounts going downward. So like from, let's say, 3000 going to the 1 BC and then going to the first AD, year 1 of the Lord. So here in Iran, this is Persia, there are already tokens being used. So you also know perhaps Phoenicians who are really good at the trading. They're also called as traders of antiquity because what they were trading were already of quality products at that time. Okay, so you also have the ancient Egypt. There's also evidence of early form of accounting in the Old Testament, example, book of Exodus, wherein there's accounting on materials that are used towards the building of the tabernacle. Okay, so tenth of the congregation. Whenever we are going to account again, the resources being used for a certain project could be a building, could be a monument, could be anything. In that case, that's accounting already. Then there's also auditing system. So we have to check whether what we are doing follows the correct standards or our outputs follow the established standards. So in that case, that's already an evidence, including oral audit reports, but hopefully they've translated and yeah, they translated some, not all, into stones. Next is Roman Empire. So in Roman Empire, again, I've mentioned about taxes, I've mentioned about proper accounting. They were very serious about making use of the resources. So you have public expenditure listing, distributions to people, grants of land or money to army veterans. Okay, so also the making of their Colosseum, records of cash, commodities, and transactions were kept by the military personnel. So see, those are evidences already. There are already measures of braces, a serial use in brewing. Those are clearly evidences of early accounting. So not that early though, because it's like 63 BC to 14 AD. And then after that is medieval and Renaissance periods. This is on double entry bookkeeping on the part of Luca Pacioli. So I've told you already exhaustively about him. And then he introduced the concept of debit and credit. Debit in Latin means he owes, and credit in Latin means he trusts. Okay, so in this case, the customers, debtors, and amounts owed to creditors. So debtors are the persons having obligations to us, and then creditors are the persons that are to pay their respective, or for example, they're going to receive their claims from us rather. Okay, so The debtors, from the word debt, meaning they have financial obligations, they have something to pay, whereas creditors have something to receive. So that's why it's amounts owed by customers, debtors, and amounts owed to creditors. All right. So debit in Latin means he owes again, and credit means he trusts. Why is this one? So debit, he owes because this is closely related to debtor, in which this is the party, this is the side having the obligation, while credit is the party having the privilege or right to receive. That's why he trusts. Okay, so those are just some details in the Renaissance periods in the time of Fra Luca Pacioli. And then his work, this is more on mathematics, but you can just imagine he already incorporated a 27-page treatise on bookkeeping. So that's how great he is. And then economist Benedito Cotrugli's 1458 treatise. This also shows the double entry bookkeeping system, but his work was not officially published until 1573. So in fact, even in 1494, Pacioli was aware of Cotrugli's efforts and credited Cotrugli with the origination of double entry bookkeeping system. So see, this is what I told you a while ago, that Fra Luca Pacioli is not really like the person who originated it all. In fact, it could not be mentioned here, but I've read also in a source that there was an Egyptian treatise that discussed or that shown already early attempts of double entry bookkeeping system. So it's here. Although Luca Pacioli did not invent double entry bookkeeping system, but his work contained the first known published work on that topic. So that's why, guys, if you have some ideas in your mind, you better publish your work, because the person who publishes first or who will publish first will normally get the credit of the work. Although, or even though, Pacioli's treatise exhibits almost no originality, but it is generally considered as an important work. In fact, there's like by whom a question mark anyway in Wikipedia. So probably by us, by users, by practitioners, is like the father of accounting and bookkeeping. So Pacioli saw accounting as an ad hoc ordering system. If you say ad hoc, it means specific, it means tailored fit system by merchants. So there are books, memorandum, journal, and ledger. So these books are being used by us even nowadays. Memorandum will be on sentences, paragraphs, notes. Journal will be the book of original entry, and ledger is the book of final entry. Journal, where we can see our journal entries, and the ledger, this is where we are going to summarize those entries. These will be discussed more or extensively or exhaustively in the next chapters or sessions. Renaissance, then in the modern world, we have the financial management accounting. In fact, I told you that the Indian, who could be teacher, philosopher, economist, that Chanakya made a financial management book during the Mauryan Empire. So this was in BCE, 322 and 125 BCE. And in the modern age, of course, it has been developed more because of the joint stock companies wherein a business entity shares the company's stock can be bought and sold by shareholders. So, in other words, a company is established wherein shares are, or the stocks or shares of a corporation, probably this is a corporation, can be bought and sold by shareholders. So, different corporations organize another corporation and it also issues shares. So, joint stock companies. That's on financial management accounting. For the modern age, so we mentioned about Scotland being the first for the chartered accountants, then forensic accounting that's done. In July 1854, there is a petition by Queen Victoria for a royal charter for Institute of Accountants. Okay, so recognizing the profession in Glasgow. So this was in Scotland, which was already prior to this one. So they also wanted to expand more in United Kingdom. Then Industrial Revolution, of course, paved the way for further growth of accounting, especially in the age of machines. In Industrial Revolution, wherein there were more machines used than people because people have limitations in terms of manufacturing. So that's why machines are used exhaustively. And also this made the demand of labor lesser, and then more capitalization requirements for machines because machines are expensive, and then developments in the machines, capital intensive also. That's why there is a need for accounting in this case. And accounting also has to develop. And this is in the modern world, wherein we now have a lot of professional bodies. It started in England also, aside from Glasgow and Scotland. Then later on, from there, moving to US to have the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And in the Philippines, we have the PICPA, Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Okay, so that's it for brief history of accounting. So again, I'm showing to you the picture of Fra Luca Pacioli. All right. So I'll see you next time for the next session of this particular series and our sessions in accounting. For now, bye. See you next time.